Hi, everybody. I'm Caleb Jones. And this is the Alpha Male 2.0 podcast, freedom, focus, lifestyle design for men. And let's talk about women and sex and dating. Yay! Our favorite topic. Yay! Or maybe not. So Alpha Male 2.0 covers both sides of that coin, the financial and business side, and the woman dating, relationship, sexual side of your life. Both of those things are critical. I talk about the two tires on your motorcycle, and the two tires on the motorcycle of life for a man is money and sex. And if you don't have enough of either one of those things, you will not be long-term happy. So that means not only do you need to have a decent income, and if you're an Alpha 2.0, an income that is made in a way where you are not limited by your freedom. So in other words, you make a decent amount of money working whenever you choose to work in a location-independent way without having to work too many hours. Not only do you need that, you also need a vibrant or at least adequate sex life / relationship life. And what that looks like is really up to you based on your personality and your age. If you're 57, you probably want to be settled down with one special woman and have an FB or two on the side, an OLTR marriage, something like that. If you're 23, 24, maybe you just want a bunch of FBs or a bunch of MLTRs and FBs, just a bunch of women to play with, and that's fine too. But the point is, if you don't have the ability to bring new women into your life whenever you want, you will never be long-term happy. Because what will happen is either you will be an incel, you'll never get laid, or virtually never, or you'll be the typical monogamous guy where you'll have a monogamous girlfriend or a monogamous wife for a while. And then when she dumps your ass, which she will, when she divorces your ass, which overwhelmingly the odds are she will eventually, you won't know what to do because you won't have the skill to bring in a new woman and replace her. You need to be able to replace your source of sex and or female companionship within 4 to 5 weeks, whenever you need to. And once you have that skill embedded in your system, you're going to be a really happy guy. What a difference. And I can speak from experience because for when I was a young guy, I did not have the skill. And I acquired that skill many, many years ago. And what a difference in overall personal peace, inner peace, happiness, fulfillment you have when you know, no matter what happens in your woman life, you can always go out and get more no matter what happens. That side of your life, as David D'Angelo / Eben Pagan used to say, is handled. So in this podcast, I'm going to overview for you the dating model that I teach, the Blackdragon dating model. And if you didn't know, Blackdragon is the name I used on the internet for many, many years before I revealed myself to the world back in around 2014, a while ago. And the products that I was selling online were mostly dating products, online dating, open relationships, and things of that nature. And I did it under the Blackdragon brand, still do. So Blackdragon is the dating model under the Alpha Male 2.0 model. And the dating model that I teach, the Blackdragon dating model, is a very specific model designed to get you from 0 to sex within 4 hours of FaceTime for under $30 spent total. That is the objective. Usually over 2 dates, 2 very fast dates. I'll go through that in great detail. But that's the model. I have used this model now consistently for 13 years with massively high success rates. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of men all over the world have used this model as well with very strong success when they do it. Now, is every man successful with this model? No. I would love to say they are, but no. There is no single dating model where every man in the world, when they do it, immediately gets successful. Some men do fail at this, but the vast majority who do this and really put in the effort to make it work, and it works like a charm. You will be shocked at how well it works once you do it correctly. I'm going to overview this model in this podcast. If you want a specific step-by-step instructions on every detail and every phase and step of this model, you need to go to calebjones.com, C-A-L-E-B as in boy, jones.com. Click on books, and all my books are there. And the 2 books that you want are the Ultimate Online Dating Manual and Get to Sex Fast. Those 2 books, one piggybacks on the next, lay out this entire model in great detail, literally step-by-step detail. If you don't like online dating and you want to use just the dating model, You can buy Just Get to Sex Fast if you want and use day game from some other resource. Day game, night game, what have you. Matter of fact, let's start there. So the model starts with you having the ability to create prospects. Prospects, and I use business terms when I talk because that's my background. So I use business terms, even though I'm talking about women right now. You need a system to create prospects. That means women who are interested enough to go out with you onto a first date, or if you don't like the word date, because maybe this isn't really a date technically in most cases, a first meet. You and her alone, one-on-one, mano a mano, you need to have a pool of women who are interested in doing this with you. You create that with one of four ways. And if you have any experience in the pickup artist world, you already know what I'm going to say. There's four ways to do this. Number one is night game, meeting women at bars and clubs at night, usually late at night. I have no experience with this. Number two is day game, meeting women during the day at normal places, Starbucks, on the street, grocery store, bookstores, the mall. I have some very limited experience doing this. A while ago, I used to do stuff at malls. A little bit, not much. Third one is online dating, which is my specialty. I am one of the best guys in the world at online dating. So if online dating is of interest to you, you definitely need to get that book, The Ultimate Online Dating Manual by Blackdragon. That's my book on how to create first dates using online dating sites and apps. And the fourth option is social circle game, and that is meeting women you know through a large social circle if you are an extrovert and know a lot of people, have a lot of friends, or have the kind of job where you meet a lot of people like a DJ or photographer or bartender and so on. So you choose one of those four ways and you learn one of those four ways and you get good at it enough to the point where you can generate a lot of first meets, or as the pickup artists call them, day twos. The term doesn't really matter. It's just when you and her, when you get her to agree to meet you on a first date. I will call this, for lack of a better term, the first date, even though it may not be the first time you've met her, or you may not consider it a date. Maybe it's a first meet, but I'll call it the first date for ease of discussion. So I will call that the first date. You need a pool of women who you regularly engage in using either night game, day game, online dating, or social circle game. By the way, all four of those things work. They all work as long as you work them and do them correctly. So I don't care which one you pick. Online dating is my favorite. There are pros and cons to all four of them. One is not better than the other. It just appeals to certain men at certain ages and certain personality types and certain lifestyles. I am a man who is almost 50 years old. I am married. I am very busy. Do you think I'm going to go to bars and clubs and pick up chicks? No, thank you. I'm going to use online dating. Thank you very much. I'm also an introvert, so I have no interest in doing this. If you're a younger guy, extroverted guy, love that stuff, great. Do night game, awesome, long as you do it. Day game is also great. Social circle, if you make that work, also works. They all work. Pick one and do it. And the model is you get to the point where you can generate a decent number of first dates as needed whenever you need to. So that's the first step. So the next step is that first date. Now, under this model, very important, you're going to have one first date that is 1 hour. That's it. 1 hour first date, 60 minutes. Well, Caleb, what if it's 72 minutes? Fine. If you go a little over 60 minutes, don't be anal about this. Go a little over 60 minutes, not going to kill you. But it's 1 hour. You have a 1 hour first date where you meet her at either a coffee shop or a very fancy bar or a very fancy deli. And when I say deli, the definition is a place you can go and just sit down at one of the tables and there is no wait staff. There is no waiter who comes over and asks for your food. Instead, you walk up somewhere, you order your food, you pick it up there, and you walk back to the table that you choose. An example in the United States would be Panera Bread, if you know what that is. So that'd be an example. So a fancy bar, a fancy deli, or a decently nice coffee shop. If you go to a bar, you want to choose the fanciest bar in town or one of the fanciest bars in town. And the reason for this is the fancier the place is where you meet, the better it reflects upon you. It's all subconscious. If you meet her at a shithole, even if you're dressed very nice and you're a cool guy, she's going to associate you with shithole. If you meet at a beautiful bar that's really cool and really interesting, that helps you at least a little bit. You want to put the odds in your favor. When you go to the bar for the first date, you will order one drink for her and one drink for you, and that is all. That is it. That is it. That is it. You're only going to be there an hour, okay? If you don't drink alcohol like me, you can order a that's, by the way, if you didn't know, I don't drink. I've never been drunk in my entire life. I don't drink, but I have been on literally hundreds of first dates, many of them at bars. And either you get, you have two choices here. You can either get a virgin drink and make a joke about it as you order it. Or if you really want to push the envelope, you can order something, kind of wimpy, like, what I would do sometimes, order like a Riesling, which is a very sweet white wine. It's almost like apple juice. And you could take a few sips of that, and that's it while she drinks her Mai Tai, whatever the fuck she gets. It doesn't matter. So that's it. You order a drink for you, a drink for her, and you talk. You talk for an hour. There is a very specific model that I don't have time to get into in this podcast on there's 3 phases of the first date. You talk about fluff talk, and then you talk about her past relationships. And if you have the balls, you start talking about sex. And that is about an hour. And during this first date, you exude a very strong sense of confidence and outcome independence. You do that with things that you say, things that you don't say, by not making mistakes. The biggest problem with men on first dates is they do all the wrong things. It's not really that they need to learn to do the right things. It's that men do too many wrong things. Matter of fact, in the book, Get to Sex Fast, I think it's chapter 13. It's the most important chapter in the book. It's a list of 22 things that men do wrong on first dates. And if you just don't do those things, you will be much more successful with women, even if you do nothing else correctly. It's amazing the things that you can pull off when you stop doing things wrong, because guys are so bad at this stuff. Anyway, during the first date, you do not kiss her. At no point in the date do you kiss her. At no point in the date do you try to have sex with her under this model. So I do not follow a model of sex on the first date. I don't do that, and I don't do that for a very specific reason. Women have a thing called ASD. If you didn't know what that is, that's anti-slut defense. That is that thing inside of women where they say, oh no, I'm a lady. I'm not a slut. I don't want my girlfriends to find out I was a slut, so I can't fuck this guy on the first date, even though I want to. That's what ASD is. And when you try to have sex with a woman on a first date, you smack right up against that. And you get a lot of what the pickup artists call LMR, last minute resistance, ASD. You have a very big uphill battle to overcome. And if you watch guys who do get laid on first dates, they go from 0 to sex right on the first date. I've talked to a lot of these guys. If you pay very close attention, these guys are spending a long time on these dates. They're spending, typically, there are exceptions, but typically they're spending hours and hours and hours on these first dates, going to different bars, going to different restaurants, spending shitloads of money on alcohol, and then finally, at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, they get laid. I don't have that kind of time. Instead of spending 5 hours on a first date, I'd rather spend 4 hours or less. In my case, I average about 2.5 or 3 hours over 2 dates. I'd rather you spend 3 to 4 hours over 2 dates. Much better use of your time. It's just much easier, and you spend less total face time if you actually don't try to have sex with a woman on a first date and instead try to have sex with her on the second date. And the reason that works much better is because a woman feels less weird, less slutty, less whatever you want to call it, by having sex with a new guy on the second date than she does having sex on the first date. Most women are most comfortable having sex on the third date. So you're pushing the envelope a little bit for a lot of women by going after the second date. But that's doable. First date is difficult. I'm not saying it's not possible. And there are plenty of guys who teach systems on how to get laid on the first date. And if you prefer that, go use one of those systems. Feel free. I would rather not work that hard. So that's the first date. At the end of the first date, you give her a big hug and you say, you're awesome, bye, and you get the hell out of there. You do not kiss her. You do not kiss her goodbye. If you kiss a woman on a first date without actually directly going to sex, and I have tracked this, and other men have tracked this, and they have found the same thing, your odds of getting to sex with that woman later go down. And the reason for this is you are murdering all of the sexual tension when you kiss a woman. You want to leave that first date. You want her wanting more. You don't want her leaving that first date satisfied. If she leaves it satisfied, the odds of you ever seeing her again on that second date go down. You want her really interested. You want to ramp up the sexual tension and then leave when sexual tension is at its highest. So during the first date, you're going to do things like kino. Kino means you're touching her. You're touching her hands, touching her shoulder, touching her arms. If you really have balls, touching her hair, touching her neck. Very sensual, very cool. You touch her a little bit and then you sit back and you just keep talking like no big deal. And then you lean forward after a while and you touch her again. And then you just sit back, very confident, not a big deal. But you don't kiss her. You're ramping up sexual tension. So that's the model on the first date. There's a lot more detail to that. I'm just overviewing it here for this podcast. So then what you do is you go home and if she sends you a text before you send her a text after the first date, This is called the ultimate IOI. IOI stands for indicator of interest. You'll notice I use some pickup artist terms because that's kind of the world I come from with this stuff. And when you get that text, before you send a text, so you leave, let's say you come home, you're home by 8 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock you get a text, oh my God, it was so nice meeting you. That is a huge sign that you did this correctly and she is ready to have sex with you. The ultimate IOI is female language for I can't wait to meet you again and have sex with you. I can't fucking wait. Now, a woman's not going to say that. So instead, she'll say, oh my God, it was so nice meeting you, right? Now, usually you will not get the ultimate IOI. Usually you'll get nothing, and that's normal. So you wait until the next day, but not more than one day. So that evening you go home, whatever, go to sleep. The next morning you wake up, get ready, and then you text her back. And you text her just with a very casual, hey, how's it going type text, or bringing up something you talked about on the first date, some kind of joke, some kind of inside joke or whatever. If she responds, great. Have a quick little back and forth conversation over text, quick, just a few minutes. And then you pitch the second date and you say, we should hang out. We should hang out again. How about Thursday night? How about Saturday at 4? Whatever. I don't care what you're doing. The second date is at your place because this is where you're going to have sex, or at least attempt sex with high odds of success. And so what you do is you pitch, first of all, you pitch the time frame. If she accepts the time frame, yeah, 7 p.m. on Thursday is great. Where should we meet? And you say, well, you should just come on over to my place. We can just hang out. Very relaxed, no big deal. If you act like this stuff is no big deal, the odds are she will feel the same, particularly if she's under the age of 33. If she is over the age of 33, well, we'll get to that in a second. So I'm jumping ahead of things. If she accepts, if she says, okay, great, wonderful. You have the second date and you want to have the second date as quickly as possible after the first date. The next day, if you can pull it off. Now, rarely can you do that because you probably have a busy schedule. She has a busy schedule, etc. But I am not kidding. The best time to have a second date is the day after the first date. The closer the second date is to the first date, the higher the odds of success you will have for sex on the second date. That is a literal fact. And again, you can track this stuff like I have, and you'll see this obviously. If it's a week, if you have to wait a week between the first date and the second date, odds go way down. If it's a day or two, odds go way up. If it's 3 or 4 days, odds are moderate. Okay. So that's why you don't want to wait. You want to play it cool and wait 3 or 4 days to text her back after the first date. A lot of guys do that. That was a good technique back when I was a young man in the 1980s and the early 90s, before we had internet, social media, Instagram, and all these other distractions for women. Okay. That was the correct play. Today, that is a stupid play. You need to jump on that shit fast before she's on to the next guy or on to the next distraction. So the next morning, pitch the date. Great. As soon as she possibly can, as soon as you can possibly schedule it in. Wonderful. Then she comes over to your place. Well, what if she doesn't have a car? Well, you can go pick her up. That's fine. I've done that. If she takes mass transit, that's great. If you are a more wealthy guy, you can send her an Uber, although I don't recommend that unless you're doing sugar daddy game, which is a topic for another time. So again, we're not talking about sugar daddy game in this model. We're just talking about normal dating. So if you think about this, how much money have you spent? You bought her one drink and you bought yourself one drink. She's coming over to your house. Do you need to buy food when she comes to your house? No. So this is a really inexpensive model. This was my model I followed for years and years and years and years. Still do occasionally, but not often because I'm married these days. But anyway, although it's an open marriage. So she comes over to your house and there's a very specific procedure for the second date. I'll give you the highlights. You kind of show her around your house. And even if you live in a small apartment, you show her all the bedrooms and you show her whatever. And if you live in a house, you show her upstairs, downstairs, the garage, show her everything. Okay. Then you sit on your couch, get comfortable. If she wants something to drink, offer her something to drink if she wants, alcoholic or not. That's completely up to you. Rarely do I give a woman alcohol on a second date. That's very, very rare. I like my women sober. I do not also, by the way, in this political environment these days, it's not very smart anymore to have alcohol involved when you have sex with a woman the first time. It's not as safe as it used to be. So I actually avoid alcohol on the second date. I get her some juice, get her some water, get her whatever. Just sit down and talk. And you just talk. And there's a specific sequence to how that talk works. But the bottom line is you talk for a while, half an hour, 20 minutes, hour and a half, depending on your skill level with this stuff. And then you start to keno. and then you kiss her. You make out, and when she responds, if she responds positively, you keep going and you escalate all the way to sex, and then you have sex. Voila! You've had sex with a woman within 3 to 4 hours total with less than $30 spent. And as you get more proficient with this system, you will start to get to the point where this happens very, very often with high odds of success, and your time frames will also reduce. So when I first started this, it took me maybe 10 hours, 12 hours, 13 hours of FaceTime before I got to sex. These days, 13 years later, I'm down to under 3 hours, sometimes well under 3 hours. I've had this work where it was less than an hour, both dates, or the first date, which does happen sometimes under this model. Now, troubleshooting, problems that can arise under this system. Women over the age of 33 have higher ASD. ASD increases as a woman ages, and it really shoots up into the stratosphere when a woman hits around age 33. So if a woman is over the age of 33, when you pitch that second date, and when you say, come on over to my place, and you will notice this in your own experience, if you date women over 33, she will immediately get uncomfortable. And she'll say, whoa, I don't think that's appropriate. I don't know. Now, sometimes you can also get that from women under 33, not often, but you can sometimes. What do you do in that case? If that's the case, you go ahead and have a second date not at your place. Instead, you have it at another location that is different from the first date, very important. And it's basically a repeat of the first date. It's at a cool bar, cool coffee shop, what have you. In either cases, for first and second date, you do not take her out to dinner. That is boyfriend shit. No. That sets the stage for a woman who is going to try to make you wait for sex instead of have sex with you quickly. You do not want to do any event dates. No karaoke on a first date. No going to miniature golf on a first or second date. No going to, God forbid, no going to see a goddamn movie on a first or second date. No. You cannot build rapport with a woman when you're both staring at a screen for an hour and a half and you can't talk to each other. Are you insane? No. Coffee shop to get a coffee or juice, or a bar to get a drink or two. That's it. First and second date. Then on that at your place second date, you basically repeat the first date, have fun, chill out, fun. And then on this date, you can actually kiss her. You can actually do that kind of stuff. You can actually get sexual on the second date. And your objective is to get her back to your place to have sex if you can. If you fail, if you can't have sex on the second date, even if she comes over to your place and you get to a certain point, but she says no and doesn't want to go all the way to sex, no problem. That's fine. You wrap it up as soon as you can. And then you try again on the third date. And on the third date, it's at your place. Now, Caleb, does that mean it's at your place a second time? Yes, you just do it again. Yep, sometimes you'll have to do that, and that's okay. The objective is to get to sex by the end of the third date. What if you don't get to sex after the third date? Well, you've got a decision to make. In my opinion, I move on. And the reason for that is my goal is to have women in my life who are sexually comfortable. I don't mean they need to be promiscuous or slutty or hookers. No, but I want them sexually comfortable. If a woman is very uncomfortable sexually, if she is completely uncomfortable having sex by the third date, which today in the modern era should be no big deal when there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of women her age or younger than her who are just as good looking as her or better looking than her who will have sex with you or me on the first or second date or at a minimum on the third date, then I would move on. That's my opinion because, again, by this point, you should have the ability to bring new women into your life in terms of creating more first dates. So that's the model. That is how this works. And if you want more specifics, calebjones.com/books. And you can check out either of those two books. There's a bunch of books there, but those are the two that relate specifically to this dating model. This is, in my opinion, the easiest and most effective dating model for the typical guy. Now, if you are a total badass alpha male pickup artist seducer already, then I'm sure you probably have a model that works better for you. But if you're the typical normal guy, in my opinion, this model is the best, most effective, efficient, and teachable and replicatable model that I have seen. It doesn't require you to go out and say hi to hundreds of women in the malls. It doesn't require you to spend a lot of money. It doesn't require you to battle LMR and to keep pestering women for sex. None of that happens. By the way, one of the beauties of this model is when you have sex with that woman on that second date, or sometimes that third date, you get almost no resistance. It's very rare I get heavy, heavy resistance because of the groundwork that I laid on the first date and the groundwork I laid on the first half of the second date. I'm not just leaping in, or at least it feels like I'm not just leaping in to have sex on the first date, because I'm not. That's one of the tricks here, is that if a woman is feeling weird about having sex with a guy on a first date, then great. Make the first date as short as possible, 1 hour, and have sex with her on the second date. And to her, it feels like, oh, okay, I spent hours and hours and hours with this guy, so therefore it's okay to have sex with him, even though it's only been, in many cases, an hour and a half, 2 hours, because it was a 1 hour first date, and you're having sex with him maybe 45 minutes on the second date, hour and 45 minutes. It's a beautiful, beautiful model. The point here is that you need to adopt some kind of dating model that you are proficient with so that you can bring women into your life whenever you need them. Just getting a girlfriend or a wife and relying on her to be with you for the rest of your life is not a model that works in the modern day Western world. Nor does celibacy and being an incel and sitting in your basement and being angry at women for the rest of your life and never getting laid and jerking off to porn for the rest of your life. Neither is, in many cases, spending the rest of your life banging hookers, because you don't have the ability to attract women without having to pay them money. What is that going to do for your self-esteem and your value, your inner value as a man? So you need to adopt some model. If you like my model, wonderful, adopt it. I know for a fact it works. It's a fantastic model. If you don't like this model, use someone else's model, but use a model. Critical, very important. If you want more help with this, join SMIC.com. At least 50% of that material at the SMIC program is specifically about dating and relationships for women under an Alpha 2.0 model. Hope this has helped. Have fun. See you soon. Bye.